another example of serious artists, really great artists. But of course, I'm going to mention the Beatles at some point because I'm a Beatle fanatic. When McCartney wrote Eleanor Rigby, which is really mostly his composition, and he went with his producer George Martin to figure out how to score it, for strings. And McCartney can't write, he can't notate music, he can't read written music, so he and Martin had to do it, and it's a great score. And part of what's distinctive about that score is a sort of staccato, sort of the strings dun dun dun, and Martin takes that, he admits, whole cloth from the soundtrack to Psycho. Uh,
Oh.
the stabbing scene, the shower scene in Psycho.
Oh.
And so he lifts that idea and he puts it into Eleanor Rigby. Now it's unrecognizable.
Yeah.
Now it's a completely different piece of art. But now as soon as I mention it to you, you're like, oh yeah, of course, that is where that's from. And along those lines, something else about the song that I think is interesting about learning creativity is McCartney had the song in his head and he wanted to come out with and he had most of the lyric. He couldn't get the name of the character though. And trying to think, and he had in his head Miss Daisy Hawkins. He's like, oh, that's no good. And he had been working on a film with an actress named Eleanor Braun. So Eleanor is a good name. And then he was out, he saw a sign on a street said Rigby, and so he said, I'll go Rigby. I like that sound. So it's Eleanor Rigby, and he got it from there. But it turns out that we find out years later, someone discovered that in a churchyard in Liverpool, which is where John and Paul would frequently meet up, halfway between each other's houses, there is a grave of an Eleanor Rigby.
What?
Yeah. So, and
Whoa.
McCartney had been presented that fact like in the 1980s. He's like, really? It's like, I had no idea. But then he realized I must have had some idea.
Yeah.
I must have had some idea somewhere.
Yeah.
So I think, and this is something I think it's hard to teach, but it's important to try to learn, is obviously young Paul McCartney was observing things and open to things, even unconsciously. Just sort of that to me is like more of a mindset of me trying to absorb things, because really everything creative is a sort of repurposing of your own experiences.